Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to excuse me for a second. First, I gotta say before I get started with the video, I'm a little salty right now. The man is very salty, somewhat embarrassed, and humiliated. This is take 2 of my MLB 2024 Trade Deadline video, where I discuss just a couple, some trades that happened during this period of time. A couple other random little signings. Not a lot of them. But I wanted to at least come up here and talk about a few of them. And this is take 2. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because the man was recording this video. He was on the very last trade, so passionate, so fired up, talked about his Pirates making a couple good deals, talked about his heartwarming Mariners making a couple of good deals as well. Probably the biggest trade of the trade deadline, in my honest opinion. And what the heck happened? He looks down and notices his audio mixer is muted. Yes, that's right. The man just recorded a video for 35 minutes just to realize he had his microphone on mute the entire time. So I guess we're here again with take 2. Let's try this again. Let's pretend that 35 minutes never happened. Even though I am dying to go watch Monday Night Raw right now, I'm still here because I would love to produce content, get it out to you guys, and hear your thoughts as well. What's going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. Post-rant! This is my video recapping and talking about some trades that happened during the 2024 trade deadline, which actually was on July 30th, 2024. Now, again, I never always understand the business side for baseball, but I don't know why, of course, they had the trade deadline on the 30th instead of the 31st. But also, this was the non-waivers trade deadline. There is the waivers deadline, which is usually at the end of August. So we could possibly see some more trades happening this coming August. Maybe some bigger ones that happen here too. I know there's a few names like Luis Robert Jr., Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and a couple other bigger names who were on the block, but nothing did happen. They weren't really traded. We had teams like the Tampa Bay Rays, who were sellers. We had the Toronto Blue Jays sold a little bit as well in there too. Other teams, the Chicago White Sox, which I just pitifully figured out the other day, had lost 20 straight games. Last I saw, their record was 27-87. Let's check to see if that has changed at all, because I can't remember when I saw that. It may be better, maybe worse. No, it's still 27-87, so it was just yesterday. But, yeah, let's roll in, though, and talk about this. I'm going to do my best again. I know this is take 2, and I've already talked about all these trades. I'm not pulling up any notes, because there wasn't really anybody in return, really, for them, and I know to talk about. So, let's just roll in and talk about these moves again. Now, there's 2 minor league deals I am going to mention here. The first one, because of course his impact on the game, is Johnny Cueto. Johnny Cueto, at the beginning of the season, had signed a minor league deal with the Texas Rangers. He opted out of the deal recently, and he recently signed a minor league deal with the Angels. As of now, I have not heard of him pitching in the big leagues at all yet this year. But Cueto is 38 years old. From 2010 to 2016, was definitely one of the best pitchers in baseball. I think he had like a 2.86 ERA. He was having numbers that were second to Clayton Kershaw, which is outstanding, of course. My best memory of Cueto is still whenever he was a starting pitcher against the Pirates in the 2013 wild card game, got rattled, and then got a home run knocked off of him by Russell Martin. And it was a fun night as a Pittsburgh fan. But respect to Johnny Cueto, he's a great player. If he never pitches in the big leagues again, he still has had an outstanding career. He spent time as well also with the Royals and with the Giants too. I think White Sox, can't remember for sure. But, his career definitely started to fall off a little bit whenever he left the Reds. Had some peaks here and there. So if he doesn't ever make it to the big leagues again, he has nothing to be ashamed of. He's had an excellent career. And don't know about Hall of Famer, but, still a great player. But he's taking another crack trying to get back to the big leagues. He signs with the Angels. A trade that happened. Well, some trades. The Pirates weren't really big-time sellers, but they weren't huge buyers. But they made two nice trades I'll talk about later. But people that I am familiar with. But one person they did give up. But the only big names they gave up were Quinn Priester. He was traded to the Red Sox for some minor league bat, I think it was. And then the other big name that they got rid of was Martin Perez, who went to the Padres in return for a minor league prospect, I believe it is. Martin Perez, I thought the Pirates made a good gamble with him this offseason. Former Ranger, having the experience for sure as like a top to like the middle of the rotation starting pitcher. I thought this is a nice pickup. He's 33 years old. I'm like, he has the experience. He definitely could contribute. Maybe like the next like AJ Burnett of the staff, basically helping out the young staff. Of course, the Pirates have now Paul Skeens, who is rocking it right now. Gotta get a Paul Skeens jersey for Christmas. I'm hoping to get a Paul Skeens jersey. That will be freaking awesome. But unfortunately, though, it didn't work out. This is one of those acquisitions I will say it was a nice try for the Pirates. Unfortunately, though, it didn't work out. He is going to go now to the Padres, who has a team that always feels like it's about to really contend, and then they're not as powerful as we thought they were. And they have kind of gone through a little bit of a rotation in starting pitcher. I mean, they do have Dylan Cease, who just threw a no-hitter recently. Both him and Blake Snell just both recently threw no-hitters. They have former power Joe Musgrove, who is on the DL. Yu Darvish is away taking care of a family matter. But Martin Perez, again, if he can get back on track, is a good pickup for the Padres. And I do hope it works out for him. Again, he was a good try for the Pirates. It just didn't work out, unfortunately. So he's off to the Padres. Next up, we have two acquisitions by the Mets that I want to discuss. Which, first off, the Mets have been one of the hottest teams in baseball the past month. They were, 11, 12, 13 games behind the Braves? And they just recently passed them up. So the Braves had to make some noise. And they did make a little noise. I'll talk about it a little bit later on. They brought back a familiar friend of theirs. But I want to talk about the Mets real quick here. They made two, not major acquisitions, but one kind of interesting that I kind of forgot about still play, to be honest. The first one is Jackie Bradley Jr., who have been playing this season with the Atlantic League's Long Island Ducks. He signed a minor league deal with the Mets a couple weeks ago. Now, I did look up to see if he has at all played in the majors yet this year. He has not. He has not played in the majors since last year when he played with the Royals and hit an abysmal 133. And also, by the way, he was always a longtime Red Sox. I always assumed he was, I wouldn't say I thought he was one of the best players in the league, but I thought he was a good standout player. Jackie Bradley Jr. only has a career .225 batting average? Yeah, .225. I knew he was never a guy hitting like way over 300, except for whenever he had that wonder where he had that 35 game hit streak. He was hitting like 361 at one point. Yes, his average fell off massively after that hitting streak ended. But I thought he'd be more like a 260, 270 guy. 225. 225 is all Jackie Bradley Jr. has brought to the table in his career? That kind of shocked me. But he has not played in the big leagues. Although, with the Long Island Ducks in the Atlantic League, he apparently has hit 400 with 12 homers and I forgot how many RBIs. But he did really good. So there could be some life maybe for him if they come back to the big leagues. The Mets don't really need him as a starter. They also got their other acquisition here with Jesse Winker, who is, again, not as dangerous of a hitter as he used to be, but still a solid contributor as well. But you never know. Maybe Jackie will get their shot. He's only, 34 years old? He's only 3 years older than me, I think, from what I saw. So he could have a little bit more to offer if he can, get back on track again. Or be better than he was before, better than 225, but we'll see, though. The other one, like I said, is Jesse Winker. A former Cincinnati Red who was a good hitter for the Reds. Kind of teetered off a little when he went to the Mariners and then the Brewers and now with the Nationals. Although his numbers have improved with the Nationals this year. I think he's hitting like 255 or something like that with 11 homers. Not great, but better than it has been the past couple years. So he could be a nice piece to help contribute for the Mets for the rest of the year. As, again, they look to try to stay on top and not have a big late season collapse like they have been known for to happen. But there's that trade right there. Then we have the Red Sox, who acquired veteran James Paxton from the Dodgers as well. That's the only acquisition I think the Red Sox really made that I can remember for. But a solid pickup. James Paxton has always been a nice, middle-of-the-road pitcher who can pitch a solid, a solid game. Number 3 and number 4 starter, I would say. I don't have much to say about him. He's 35 years old. He's getting up there. But, again, he is a contributor, I would say. He's a guy that, again, he is a piece that there's some guys, and there's one that I'm saving best for last, that although the numbers aren't the most standout in the world, he still is a team player and a team contributor in some ways. And that's what I do think of James Paxton. So a nice pickup by the Red Sox, who will have a challenge for sure with the Yankees and Orioles, the young Orioles in the American League East. Moving on now to stick with the Dodgers, someone that they acquired was Blue Jays outfielder Kevin Kiermair. They acquired him to help the outfield. As always, Kevin Kiermair has always been more known for the glove than the bat. He's playing stellar defense at 34 years old. He recently announced, though, he plans to retire after the 2024 season. So this is his last run. He's hoping to get another shot at the World Series, as he was on the 2020 American League pennant-winning Rays, who lost to the Dodgers in the 2020 World Series during the shortened 2020 pandemic season. Like I said, at the plate this year, not too shabby. He's only hitting 195 or a little below 200. But again, as also I said, Kevin Kiermaier was never known for the bat. He was more known for the glove. But he could definitely contribute for the Dodgers in that capacity for sure in the outfield. We'll see if his bat at least wakes up just a little bit as he finishes off his career. And again, maybe gain a World Series victory to cap it all off. And again, he's just 34 years old, but some people are just ready to go earlier than expected. Heck, Adam Dunn was someone too. Adam Dunn retired at 34? I was surprised when that happened. And he wasn't too far from 500 home runs either. But of course, either way, wouldn't have helped his case because although Adam Dunn was a massive power hitter, let's face it, if it wasn't for the power hitting, how much really did he contribute to baseball? I mean, he wasn't going to be a Hall of Famer for sure, but sorry, didn't even get off topic there. But yeah, Kevin Kiermaier is going to retire after this season. Hopefully, again, he can definitely contribute well for the Dodgers his last couple months of his big league career. The Rays, again, speaking of the Rays, we talk about Kevin Kiermair. The Rays made a trade where they traded Isiah Paredes. I can't remember his name, but their shortstop, I believe it is. They traded him to the Cubs for Christopher Morel. I know the Rays had a minor league shortstop prospect that might be ready for the big leagues. That might be why they were looking to trade him. And again, the Rays were kind of more so in selling mode, which props to the Rays. They always seem like a team that they could be sellers, but in the past 10 years, they have had some trade deadlines where they were sellers, and it's like they were immediately back in the loop with contention. They made some really good deals that kept them young and just grabbed some really nice young prospects that just flourished out excellently. Christopher Morel, though, has been a guy that the Cubs have struggled to kind of keep in their lineup. Although, again, his batting average has been something that's hurt them. Going into this trade, he was hitting just 199. But he definitely has some nice, like, 20-30 homer power for sure. He has, I think, around 20 this year so far. I think it is like 19 or something like that. And then Isiah Paredes could be a nice contributor as well. The Cubs, though, have had a disappointing year. I thought with the veterans they had grabbed, and grabbing Craig Counsell, who left the the Brewers, for more money, because the Brewers were one of his teams when he was a team. Well, him and, of course, the Diamondbacks. But I'm really surprised he left the Brewers for the more money. Because, of course, they did get rid of David Ross, who I thought was going to be a great contributing manager to them, because he was a great contributing teammate to them when the Cubs were super hot 10 years ago. I can't believe it's been 10 years since the Cubs were like that dangerous team in the National League Central. And now it's just like, they're nothing too special right now, unfortunately. But, again, hopefully Christopher Morel finds a spot for him. Apparently he's played every position except for first base and catcher, which is kind of surprising for sure he hasn't played first base. But I thought he was a third baseman, but they'll find somewhere to put him in the line for the Rays. But that was an interesting trade right there for sure. Following him, we have Ty France, former Mariner, was traded to the Reds. The Reds are still in their post-Joey Votto days. I think this is the first season they are playing without Joey Votto, who signed a minor league deal with the Blue Jays, but I don't think he's made an appearance yet in the big leagues this year. Although it would have been cool to see him because he is Canadian, but Ty France was definitely once a solid 2020 guy for the Mariners. Unfortunately, he's kind of slumped the past couple of years. And he's 30 years old. He's still young, but he's, not, that young anymore. But he still has the potential to be a contributing bat for any ball team. And the Reds were kind of in the middle of they have pieces, but they're still building. A veteran like Ty France could be a good pickup to add into their lineup as well to help the younger guys too. So this is a nice grab, I'd say, there by Cincinnati. Following that, Josh Bell. Journeyman Josh Bell. How many teams has this guy played for since he got traded from the Pirates? I know he was with the Nationals. He was with the Padres. He went to the Guardians. Then the Marlins. And now the Diamondbacks. I think he's been traded at every trade deadline the past 3 or 4 years, I would say. He's been all over the place. Now he's a Diamondback. Apparently the Diamondbacks grabbed him because Christian Walker did suffer an oblique strain recently, and the timetable for his return is unknown. And the Diamondbacks are still, in fact, trying to repeat as National League pennant winners. Although they're kind of not really hitting it out of the park right now, if I'm being honest. Although they just played the Pirates recently and had a decent series against them. Diamondbacks are currently... they are 60-52. Sorry, they are one of the wild card teams right now. So, sorry, didn't mean to down them for a second, but they are in contention for a wild card. Wait, no, they're not. I'm sorry, they're the number 3 wild card now. They're one game above the Mets. I forgot about the Phillies. The Phillies are actually on top of their division. Not the Mets, but the Mets are one game back. But still, they got to wake up there. It is the Braves and Padres and Diamondbacks that are currently the wild card winners. And my Pirates are only 3.5 games back in that wild card race, 56 and 55. We'll talk about them in just a few minutes. Yeah, Josh Bell has had a very inconsistent career, unfortunately. His best year for sure was his last full year with the Pirates in 2019 when he hit 37 home runs, drove him 110, 120 RBIs. He was a superstar that year. He left the Pirates after... Was he traded after the 2020 season or after the 2019 season? One of the two. When he went to the Nationals. And then he's just bounced all over the place since. He hasn't really reached that all-star potential since. He's been a good bat, but he's had some down years. Recently, though, he has caught some fire. But before that, overall, before this trade, he was hitting 220 with 9 homers. And it's that's a little... It's not good. Although I think in the series recently with the Pirates, I think he did have one game where he had 2 home runs in the game. So hopefully it's a sign of him getting back on track. Because the Diamondbacks definitely need to fill a hole if they are without Christian Walker within the bleak string. Even Corbin Carroll, last year's Rookie of the Year, has had a down year as well, too. He's only hitting 215, which is not good either. But Diamondbacks are, in fact, still contending. So this is a nice piece to help them to replace Christian Walker. And he'll probably be traded again next year. Who knows? But Josh Bell is now journeyman Josh Bell. Moving on now to the Orioles, who did acquire Zach Eflin from the Rays. Forgot to make a graphic for him. But that's nice to pick up for their starting rotation. And they have all these young guys. And then they also acquired Eloy Jimenez, who made a great escape from the 27 and 87 Chicago White Sox. Are the White Sox even going to crack 40 wins this year? Oh my gosh. I saw that and I'm like, geez, I've seen the Athletics be bad. Last year they were so bad. And of course, I forgot how many wins they got, maybe 50 or something like that. The Pirates, of course, with their 20 straight years of losing. I think the worst they were that period of time was when they went 57 and 105 in 2010. I think that was their rock bottom or absolute worst during that period. 27 and 87 though, that is dreadful. And they've lost 20 straight games. They surprisingly didn't trade Luis Robert Jr., who's on the block. But again, he can still go before the waivers deadline possibly. We'll have to wait and see. But they did trade Eloy Jimenez to the Orioles, to the young Orioles. Jimenez has always been a strong monster bat. But unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stand out. He's like another Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton with the Twins has had so many injuries in his career. Eloy Jimenez has kind of been in the same boat. He was the White Sox Byron Buxton. But hopefully he can help contribute to the young Orioles team that is definitely dangerous. And I think, definitely in my opinion, a possible favorite to win the World Series, if I'm being honest. So that's a good deal right there. Then we got the Royals, who are also having a good year. They're third in their division. They have a winning record. They are kind of back in the game after being out of it for a while since they were 2015 World Series champions. And then lost all their stars like Eric Hosmer, Mike Moustakas, Alex Gordon, Alcides Escobar, a few others. Can't remember who else there was in there. But yeah, they've been out of it for a while. They've been in the basement for a while, but now they're contending. They made a couple nice trades. They first acquired Michael Lorenzen from the Rangers, who I think he's definitely one of the more underrated pitchers in the league. I feel like he does not get the credit he deserves. This guy can contribute in the bullpen, in the rotation, and heck, even whenever they allow pitchers to bat, he can hit too. I think he has a 3.81 ERA, which is pretty solid. He's a solid pitcher. I remember he was solid with the Reds. I know he's bounced around a little bit afterwards. I think the Angels and, of course, Rangers now. I can't remember who else. But again, he is a solid man to add in your bullpen. I take him in my bullpen or in my rotation any day. He is definitely a nice piece to not sleep on. And they also grabbed from the sucky Chicago White Sox, Paul DeJong, who is having a bounce back year. Still hitting just 228 or something like that, but the powers came back up there again. He has 18 home runs. He was once a nice 25 homer guy for the Cardinals at the beginning of his career. Then it kind of fell off. Hasn't really done well since, but he's having a bounce back year. Of course, he won't be playing shortstop anytime soon because they got Bobby Whit Jr. there for the next 14 years, and he's having an MVP caliber season. So DeJong will definitely be a backup shortstop, or again, give him some time at third, second, play anywhere in the infield. So that's a nice pickup as well too. So the Royals, don't sleep on them. They're going to make things interesting as well going to the last half of the season, the last 2 months or whatnot. So don't sleep on them. But this is a couple nice, good, low price pickups for 2 very nice contributing players. After that, we have the Brewers who signed Frankie Montas. Not sorry, signed. They acquired him from the Reds. Montas was once a strong pitcher for the Oakland Athletics between 2019 and 2022. He then went to the Yankees, and then he was with the Reds. He came to the Reds last year. This past offseason, after he missed most of 2023 with a shoulder injury. And it's definitely been one of the worst seasons of his career. There's like a ERA over 5. He hasn't a good win-loss record at all. So hopefully a change of scenery does help him with the Brewers for sure, who are again contending, who've also been hampered by injuries to their pitchers this year. They were able to keep, not Corbin Burns, who's the other one? I forgot his name. Dang it. Who's the other pitcher? Not Corbin Burns. He went to the Orioles. Who else is it? I'm gonna see it, and then I'm going to regret myself. Brandon Woodruff. That's who it was. I remember. I didn't even get to go over the app. I remember the name. Brandon Woodruff. But again, they have definitely been hampered though. So definitely, if they want to keep contending at the top of their division, because the Cardinals, of course, are having a bounce back year, they're going to need some starting pitching. And Frankie Montas, when he can figure it out, he's definitely a strong pitcher in someone's rotation. So this is a good grab by the Brewers. Now let's talk about my Pirates. Ha ha ha! Yeah! They're actually where I think they should be right now. Like a little over 500 and contending. Got to a slow start and then made a couple reasonable acquisitions, I thought. Got rid of a couple players like Martin Perez, Quinn Priester. No one really too big they lost. No one at all. And in return, they got a couple names, like, I forgot who the pitchers were, like Jordan Walker, I think it is, and I forgot who the other one was. I'm not familiar with them. But they did grab 2 nice names for their lineup that I actually am very familiar with. First one is Bryan De La Cruz, who I think the Pirates could have control of him over the next 3 years, I think. I think he only has 3 or 4 years of service time or something like that. But he is definitely an improving power bat. Yes, he can hit the best for average, I'll be honest. But he has almost 20 homers. The Pirates need someone else in that line with a power bat. Yes, they have Bryan Reynolds, who has almost 20. He'll be like a 25 homer hitter guy. They have O'Neal Cruz, who I'm expecting a little more power from. He will crack 20 this year. But I think he can get 30, 35 homer power once he does, get more seasoned out in the big leagues. Bryan De La Cruz as well is someone who will be a good 25, 30 home run guy. And if the Pirates can hold on them for the next couple seasons, that is awesome. That's a really, really big acquisition for them, I feel, with Bryan De La Cruz being in there, former Marlin. He's probably playing right field. Again, the Pirates definitely have Bryan Reynolds solid out there. Andrew McCutchen as well, of course. Well, he's more so DHing still, and he plans to still continue playing. So we may have Kutch a little bit longer too, which I think is awesome. But then there's Josh Palacios, who's okay, but I'm not ready to see him as a full-time major leaguer yet. Jack Sawinski, who has had a poor year. He's just disappointing. I don't know if the Pirates are going to be holding on to him much longer. They could. We'll never know. Connor Joe, who bounces around between outfield, first base. Of course, there is Rowdy Tellez, who has finally caught some fire. I was getting a little worried about Rowdy Tellez there for a bit, but he has caught fire and he's turned it around. He's definitely, a fan favorite here in Pittsburgh. And a few others as well. But that's a great pickup. And I also like this pickup of Isiah Kiner-Falefa. If that's how you pronounce his last name. I probably butchered it. But I know he has Kiner in there. And apparently he has some type of distant relations with former Pirate Ralph Kiner. Which is pretty cool. But I like this pickup too. The bat he's been decent with this year. I know he's never been a guy known with his bat. But he's hitting like 292 with 7 homers. Like a little under 300 at bats. I know he had a little bit of time on the DL with the Blue Jays. But the best thing about him, though, is definitely his defense. He's a utility man. He can definitely fill in that outfield at times. He can definitely help out in the infield. Again, Nick Gonzalez, the Pirates' second baseman, who has been having a strong year so far when he's given the opportunities. He's injured right now, but he's definitely a good piece. Ke'Bryan Hayes. Can I finally just say it? I love Ke'Bryan Hayes, but he hasn't done it for me. Last year, he was starting to show that hope, and then this year, he just has not been good, unfortunately. I still think the Pirates did kind of jump the gun on signing him to the 8-year contract they signed him for. I mean, it's not like a heck of a lot of money, and he's no like Chris Davis or Anthony Rendon or anyone else who has signed these long-term deals and either get injured all the time or just have poor numbers. And to me, Ke'Bryan Hayes has been a little below average, if I'm being honest. He has had his injuries. I don't know what's going to take for him to, finally see out the player that he was always meant to be. But even like Isiah Kiner-Falefa could definitely try to push him a little more too. But two great pickups, again, a power bat and an excellent defensive player with Isiah as well in there. I really like this again. I don't think the Pirates will make the playoffs this year. Again, they're 3.5 back in the wild card race. But again, they're keeping the team interesting. And I think for the next couple years, especially, of course, with Paul Skeens being the ace of our staff, he's lived to the hype. I want his jersey. I think the Pirates are getting back into the contending stage again, which is awesome to see, of course. So I like those acquisitions. Almost done, guys. And microphone is working again. Not wasting 32 minutes of my time as I did before. But the Braves had made, again, I said the Braves need some help. And, of course, they just bounced back to 1 game in front of the Mets in the wild card race. The Phillies, though, who didn't really make any acquisitions that I remember of, are at top of their division right now. But speaking of Phillies, they recently released former Royal Whit Merrifield. And then the Braves, who just lost Ozzie Albies to injury, they grabbed Merrifield definitely to help him in that infield. He can play the outfield too, so a nice utility player. But of course, the big one for sure is definitely Jorge Soler. Soler just signed a 3-year deal with the Giants this past offseason. Giants haven't really been as dangerous as I thought they would be. They did make a couple really nice moves last offseason. I thought they would definitely be a contending team as well, making that National League West a very tight division. Not quite. Soler has had another inconsistent year. He has swung the bat better since June, though. He's like hitting like about 240, 12 homers. Again, it's always been a story of Soler's career. When he's on fire, he's on fire. But when he's cold, he's cold. But of course, he was part of the 2021 World Series winning Braves that they needed a bat to help out whenever they lost Ronald Acuna Jr. due to an ACL injury. Well, guess what? This year, they also lost Ronald Acuna Jr. again to an ACL injury, unfortunately. That sucks. Especially after coming off the best season of his career and finally winning an MVP award. And he hurts his knee again. Yeah, Soler definitely has come back to very familiar territory. It will definitely help get the Braves, going again. As even some players like, Matt Olson or Austin Riley really aren't having standout years. And again, they just lost Ozzie Albies as well for a bit. We'll talk about that in my injuries video. So again, grabbing Whit Merrifield there for the experience is definitely a great pickup as well. But 2 nice pickups there for the Braves with Jorge Soler and Whit Merrifield. The Yankees. The only deal the Yankees really made was acquired Jazz Chisholm Jr. from the Marlins in exchange for a few prospects. Now, Jazz has been hyped up to me as a huge player for the future. He is only 26 years old. Injuries, though, and inconsistencies, he has not yet lived up to the hype, if I'm being honest. But maybe him going to the Yankees is going to light the fire and bring out the star that we all know that he's been hyped up to be for a long time. He was originally a prospect for the Diamondbacks, but then he was acquired in the Zach Gallen trade, and Zach Gallen has become one of the best pitchers for sure for the Diamondbacks to help contribute to them as well. But of course, the Yankees outfield right now, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Juan Soto, Aaron Judge. If Giancarlo Stanton ever comes back from his injury, the injury-plagued Stanton, who I still hope to God gets to 500 career home runs. Stanton better hit 500 home runs, please. I have waited. I have been chattering my teeth about that one. That and Mike Trout. Oh, we got to talk about Mike Trout when we get to the injuries video again, because he is out for the rest of the year, too. He never came back from his meniscus injury, sadly. But that's a nice young outfield for the Yankees. Well, I mean, Judge is 32, but, you know, he's still the most dangerous player in the game right now. But, yeah, and there's Juan Soto. Look, Juan Soto is on the last year of his contract. He is having one of the best years of his career he's had since the beginning of his career. He's only 25, 26, whatever the heck he is. He's still young as hell. There is no way the Yankees are not going to throw a ton of money to keep Juan Soto after this year. Juan Soto is staying. Juan Soto is going to be a Yankee for a long time. Him and Jazz will probably stick with the Yankees for quite a while. I think Jazz will eventually blossom into the all-star he was meant to be. He got to stay healthy, though, as well. And you got Aaron Judge, the captain, in there. Yeah, Yankees are pretty set again. I don't see them having a losing record anytime soon. They almost did last year. Almost did. But again, they have not yet had a losing season since 1992. 76 and 86 under Buck Showalter. It was a question in one of my Baseball Digest magazines. Hasn't had a losing season yet in my lifetime. What will happen first in my lifetime? The Pirates win the World Series or the Yankees having a losing season? What will happen first? We'll just have to wait and see. And then finally, the last team I want to briefly talk about is the Seattle Mariners. As always, again, my heart has always, I've always had like a soft spot for the Seattle Mariners. Since, of course, my favorite baseball player, Ichiro Suzuki, who will get inducted and voted to the Hall of Fame in 2025 on his first year on the ballot. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Maybe unanimously. Who knows? I'm not going to count on that, but I'm counting on him being a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I've always wanted to, Mariners is another team I've always wanted to see, just win. And they're at the top of their division right now. The only team that's contending them right now is the Astros, which is nothing new, of course. But the Mariners acquired two really good pickups. First is the veteran in Justin Turner. They got him from the Blue Jays. Turner's almost 40 years old, yet he is still a great addition to anybody's lineup. I remember when Justin Turner was a rookie second baseman for the New York Mets. I can't believe he's already towards the end of his career, but he's still playing some really solid ball. He spent most of his career with the Dodgers. He was with the Red Sox last year. Part of this year with the Blue Jays, and still, pretty decent. He's definitely a nice piece to help with the Mariners, who have some young pieces and some veterans in there as well. And then there's, to me, the biggest and the most shocking acquisition of the trade deadline, in my opinion, so far, is the Mariners acquiring Randy Land from the Rays. Randy Arozarena. I always mispronounce his last name, but Randy Arozarena. This guy, I said earlier, but I can't remember who I was talking about. James Paxton. There's some guys that they may never be a league leader. Their numbers may not always stand out, but he's a team contributing player. He's someone that, he doesn't put up the league numbers, but he puts up what is needed to make a winning team. This is a guy who had a legendary run in the 2020 playoffs with the Rays, hitting 10 home runs in 20 games. Yeah, he's probably averaged maybe about 20 homers a year somewhat since he came over from the Cardinals and he became one of the Rays' everyday outfielder, right? I believe he plays. But I think he's a guy that's full of experience. That's full of that energy that brings a spark into someone's lineup. It's like when the Cubs were at their hottest in 2015, 2016, I felt like that unsung hero for them was Dexter Fowler. I felt like there was just something about Dexter Fowler that when he was not in that lineup, they weren't as dangerous of a team. But with Fowler in their lineup, they were dangerous. And he wasn't the most standout player. Randy Arozarena, I can't ever pronounce his last name. I feel like is one of those guys. So he's a good pickup for the Mariners. And again, I do hope they win that division title. And I will be rooting them. Again, I don't see them win the World Series this year, though. I think they will contend. I'm leaning towards the Orioles. The Orioles might be winning the World Series this year with how great their young team is. But we'll just have to wait and see. And look at that, guys. 41 minutes later, I got through. No microphone muted this time. Of course, I had 2 more videos I wanted to record tonight. Maybe I'll get to them. Maybe I won't. Who the heck knows? Maybe I'll wait till Wednesday when I'm home. But we'll see. I got other stuff to upload too. But, yep, guys, that's my recap of some of the trades that happened during the 2024 MLB Trade Deadline. What are your guys' thoughts on these trades and some other trades I may not have discussed? Who are some people who you think that may get traded during the waivers deadline, which is the end of the month, I believe, for a waivers deadline? Leave your guys' thoughts again down in the comments section below. Be sure also, as always, to slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93. You may also follow me on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you guys all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!